Hey guys, what's up? I'm Quardox. Thank you so much for making my video part of your day. Welcome to Fact Compact, my series where I give you all the available information from the internet about one specific game, comfortable, edited down into one clear, easy to understand video. Today I'm going to show you a zombie survival game called Survive the Nights. Enjoy! Survive the Nights is developed by a small company called E001 Interactive, and it consists of 5 guys, 3 from England, 2 from the United States. The whole idea around STN started when 2 of the guys met on Xbox Live whilst playing GTA 4, and they became friends over time, and after a while they even set up a public Minecraft server called Minecraft E001. They also got their YouTube channel started, and with that being done they had the idea to program a game themselves, and so the idea for Survive the Nights was born. At the time they weren't experienced at game developing, but they read up on a few things, kept learning, and eventually started making Survive the Nights. It was clear from the beginning that Survive the Nights should be something different in the zombie survival genre, and from the get-go it was confirmed that this game is programmed with the Unity 3D engine, which was upgraded just recently to the Unity 5 engine. An engine with which the developers are comfortable that they can achieve their goal and make an awesome game for us. I think another step in the right direction is that Survive the Nights will not only be on PC but also on Macintosh and Linux, so no need to get angry if you're not using Windows, the game devs got you covered. Another big focus is the performance optimization for this game. Compared to current AAA titles like Dying Light or other games in the genre like DayZ, this game promises to have functioning zombie horde mechanics from the beginning, and hopefully no issues with frame drops when entering a bigger town or pathfinding problems when encountering larger AI groups. The devs want this game to run smoothly and look good on high-end PCs as well as average machines. So if you don't have one of the newest graphic cards out there, no reason to be alarmed, because the emphasis from the start is to make it a great experience for everyone. I don't know exactly how much time they put into the first proof of concept video, but when it was on Kickstarter it looked very promising, and that was reflected by the people backing it. The original goal was set to £12,000, but the response was so great that in the end of their campaign in August of 2014 they had over £100,000 funding, even though they only had around 6,200 backers at the time. By now it's hard to estimate the exact number of backers and funding because the game is still available for purchase on their website survivethenight's.com. There you can choose between a single version for $25, it's about 22 euros, or a bundle which includes 4 games for $75 or 65 euros. The dev said it will be a while until the game releases in its full potential, but we will get our first glimpse around February of this year. It's actually this month, so we will see about that. So we have to wait a little bit longer until we can finally hop in and test something ourselves. If you want to support the team and you like the idea of this game, you can still go to the website and you will find everything there. Link is in the description. When you purchase the copy, you will also be eligible for the server stress test that will be in February or March of this year. As the name suggests, in Survive the Nights it's all about the day-night cycle, and that is something I'm really excited about. In current games like DayZ, it doesn't really make much of a difference if it's nighttime. Unlike in Game of Thrones, the night is not dark and filled with terrors, it's more like filled with blackness and nothing changes at all. So in this game, when night falls, the gameplay will change dramatically. At day, while the sun is up, the zombies are slow and don't bother you too much. You'll probably see them roaming around all over the landscape and they won't be too much of a threat for you, but at nighttime they will start to band together and attack you and even hunt you down when you try to hide in a building. The thought behind this mechanic is to send you out at daytime to gather resources and materials, which you will need to fortify your hiding spot for when it gets dark. You can also try to survive in the wild if you so choose. You're not forced to stay inside all the time, but it will be a lot harder than being indoors because the climate will make it difficult for you to live on the outside. You will need to keep yourself warm all the time because the season in this game is set in the beginning of winter. So with the temperature mechanic for the player, it will be very interesting to see how much it influences the gameplay if you want to survive under the clear sky. You can make a campfire, of course, to help you keep your temperature up, but it also exposes you to the risk of attracting a horde of aggressive zombies to your location. And the same goes for indoor survival. If you got a fire burning in your fireplace or the light turned on in your house, which itself requires a loud generator, the zombies will see it, hear it, and start marching to you and try to kill you. You may have the possibility to find or craft yourself warm clothing like a winter jacket to make survival on the outside easier, but we can only wait and see if something like warm clothing will make it in the first release. Yet another possibility you have is you can live in your camping trailer, for instance, and drive around the whole night, but as you can probably imagine, it will be hard to have enough fuel saved up to do that if you will be forced to rely on a closed off space like a house or a cave to make it through the next morning. Only time will tell. One thing that really intrigues me is that this game is in first person only, and that is something I think it's really awesome, because that means you cannot see your character from behind, you cannot scroll the camera around, you cannot see over a wall where your enemy is coming from and stuff like that. I hope this game has a mechanic like in modern shooters where you can spot around obstacles or look over cover, you know, or stick your head around a corner or something like that, that immerses you even more in that first person mode. If you guys haven't tried a game like DayZ in first person only, I can just tell you that you're really missing out on an awesome experience that makes you play even more careful in the firefight. Oh my god, it really gets your heart rate going, you know. I can't wait to fight off hordes of zombies when they're all around you trying to get a bite of your precious booty. That is something I couldn't do in DayZ yet. In most other games, honestly, I find myself often running into danger without paying too much attention, but I hope in this game the zombies will be a worthwhile enemy that keeps you on your toes all the time. I think I speak for a lot of us zombie survival fans when I say we all waited for a game that not only offers great graphics but a great deal on gameplay mechanics and zombies that don't glitch through walls or just ignore you. Tell me if I'm wrong here in the comments down below, but I always wanted a zombie game where you can actually fight zombies. Next up, I want to tell you a little bit more about the game world we will be playing in. You might know from other games that it might be the case that the game world is surrounded by an invisible wall or has a forest that gets denser the further you get in, or like in DayZ, when you reach the end of the map the texture abruptly ends. Survive the Night takes a different approach, which not only makes the updating process easier in the future, but also has a positive impact on performance right from the start. In fact, this game is island based, which means it's surrounded by water, and future add-ons will also be implemented as new islands. For starters, it will only be the main island to explore, but don't worry guys, it will be a massive world to explore, even bigger than H1Z1 is right now. Survive the Night starts with a map size of 40 square miles or 100 square kilometers, which is quite impressive for an indie game, to be honest. First, the focus will be on crafting a beautiful and immense starting island, which feels detailed and polished, and over time it could become a whole chain of islands. What could result in some awesome clan gameplay where you could occupy different islands and fight over resources or territory or stuff like that. At the moment we can just speculate about the end game, but what we know so far is that in this game every building, every structure will be unique, and that allows you to try varieties of playstyles every time you join in. You'll have to adapt the surroundings you choose to survive in. If you just have a little house, it will be very different to a big industrial structure or surviving in the wild. What's special is that every building is accessible, so you don't find locked doors or boarded up areas that you cannot get into. Basically, you can board up every door yourself, every window, and put down traps everywhere in the world to secure the places. You can choose between wooden and metal sheets, pieces of wood planks, and in the best case, maybe even use the couch or a shelf you could push around, you know. Sounds pretty good so far, and to be in first person only makes it an even better adventure. Unlike in games like Rust or Stalker, this game world doesn't have areas that you cannot access due to radiation or other shenanigans the devs put in. You can go wherever you want to on this map. There will be no restrictions that keep you from exploring a certain place of your interest, so what you see is what you get. There is only one thing the devs already confirmed: you cannot build your own structures or craft building parts like in DayZ Epoch. The devs want to go away from voxel-based structures and self-made buildings because we know that could result in immersion-breaking environments, and to be quite frank, in reality no one would build a house from scratch. You would find a structure that is to your liking and bunker yourself in there. So if you're looking for walls without foundations, hovering platforms or mega towers, you will not find them in here. But what you can and will find are many vehicle frags, because in Survive the Nights every vehicle is usable, or rather has the potential to be repaired, and that is something we have not seen as well in this genre. Granted, I mean, it won't be easy to get a car running. You will need a long list of items like a battery, spark plugs, fuel, motor, parts, wheel, you get the idea. And you can't just carry all those things with you all the time, so it will be very difficult to actually get the car running, but it will be very rewarding, and if you can actually manage to repair it, it will be awesome. When you want to take a metal sheet, for instance, you can't put it in your backpack and be done with it. You will have to carry it manually to your car trunk, your storage box, or you can use a wheelbarrow to transport multiple items at once. In a camping trailer you can use your bed as a repository, so there are more than enough ways to bring an item from A to B. The devs want this to be a very realistic experience, unlike we have seen before. You're driving through the woods and you want to go outside, loot a building or something. You don't just want to leave your car unlocked, of course. That would be not such a good idea. So you take a battery and the spark plugs with you, and that makes it pretty hard for someone else to actually steal it if he himself doesn't have a battery and spark plugs with him, and he can't just have 4 wheels with him because it's not possible in this game. So if you're out looting, you can't just run around and loot everything, because your space in your backpack will be very limited and you can't take as much as you would probably like to. So you constantly have to make a choice that could well influence your game progression overall, so make sure you modify your vehicles so it doesn't run the risk of being destroyed by zombies or stolen by other survivors. Just like barricading buildings, use wood or metal to make your camping trailer more resilient to the harsh surroundings. Another big part of Survive the Nights is everything that revolves around crafting, and I'm not only talking about the things you can modify your vehicles with. There will be a shitload of items, and every single item you can find in this game you can use in one way or another. It's not like you find trash piles with no loot in them on every corner. When you find a can on the floor, you can combine that with other materials and craft yourself a makeshift silencer, or smelt it down and use it for something else. Whatever your brave wanderers may find, every item in Survive the Nights has its value. Combine some old duct tape and a flashlight and boom, you've crafted yourself a weapon flashlight for your shotgun. Want to improve your chance of survival at night? Choose between a wide range of sophisticated traps to make sure the biters can't get to you. From inflammable propane gas tanks to bear traps to booby traps to barbed wire fences, you can craft everything you want, or try to find yourself a gun to heighten your chances of making it through the night. But be warned, if you fire a gun you will probably attract a lot of zombies in your area, so think twice before starting terminating everyone in your vicinity. On the other hand, a gun can make life on the island easier. In some situations you're hungry and need food, shoot yourself a deer or a bear, gut the meat and grill yourself a fire roasted steak to keep your energy up at all times. But never forget, the threat is lurking around you, so make sure you don't make yourself the bait for the beasts. If you want to take a stealth approach, you can do that as well. Lay out some traps and lure the animals into them. Keep the noise down as low as possible. Don't attract too much unnecessary attention, or go even quieter and retreat to a quiet lakeside and try catching some fish with your makeshift fishing rod. No need to lose hope, there are many ways to get yourself some fresh protein. But don't set yourself to rest too quick. When the zombies get you and you're forced to abandon your house quickly, with not much on your body, you can still make it in the wild. Use your instincts to find berries that are growing wild throughout the flora and fauna on this beautiful island. But make sure you know what you're eating. You don't want to consume a poisonous mushroom, for instance, that could wear you down fast and in the end cost you your life. Before you stick something in your mouth that doesn't belong there, make sure to do your research on it. And you can do that with the integrated web browser you can find in the menu. You can quickly look up stuff like crafting recipes, items, locations, and other useful topics. The devs themselves wanted to implement this integrated web browser to make it even easier for people to access the forum while in game, so you don't have to switch to your desktop and have multiple windows open. Say you spot a bug in game, you can just quickly hop onto the forum, upload a screenshot and be done with it in a minute. The menu interface overall looks simple but easy for users to understand and get a grip on it. You can also access Survive the Night's Facebook and Twitter, and in case you need to also reload the web page, there is also a little button for that. The video and audio options are by default what people are used to from other games, so nothing special there. With the announcements of the menu interface, the developers also announced that they will switch from the Unity 3D engine to the Unity 5 engine. The new engine makes it easier for the devs to implement new stuff, and also from the performance standpoint it will run a lot better than the old Unity 3D engine. In the background you can see the first live in-game footage of the new engine, which looks a lot better compared to the old videos we've seen so far. The lightning textures, particles, clouds and even stuff like character animations have vastly improved with this engine change and can easily hold up with current games in the genre. From what we've seen so far, the game's theme is even more apocalyptical than unlike anything we've seen so far. When you shoot zombies you will leave a bloodstain on the wall, the atmosphere at night feels haunting, and I could imagine a few instances where I could actually get scared. Remember, first person only, persistent blood and zombie hordes in the dark, that could potentially be scary. But that is not all you have to worry about. You also should be on the lookout for other survivors, or if it may be the case, other hostile players. This game is the first of its kind that actually has a system in place to disincentivize hostile player action or PvP, by adding a mental state for the player's character, so that if you're just running around killing other survivors, you will experience blurry vision, shaky hands, panic attacks, and if you carry on anyway, it will result in your character's death because he can't take it anymore and kills himself, or goes mad to the point you lose control over him. There will probably be some sort of rare medicine you can find or craft that helps you keep your mental status in check, but I guess it will be very hard to come by. So I hope this system will hold players off from shooting on sight finally, all the time, every time, and give them more reasons to interact and band together against the common enemy. But who knows, maybe the island turns into a roaming ground for the Arkham Asylum inmates and everyone wanders the island as a madman. Coming back to brand new facts, here we see the brand new inventory screen. It's in form of a simple rustic text-based inventory. On the right side you see everything you have in your backpack. You can even filter the items by category with the little symbols you see on the top. The left side will be used for crafting, the status screen, player inventory and the character screen. How it feels compared to other modern inventories we got used to over the years we will see when we finally get access to the game at the server stress test that should be in the next few weeks. Everything evolving around your character will be very realistically based, so you want to watch out that you don't get bitten by zombies, catch an infection or fall from too high and break a leg or a hand. In this game this will cost you a lot and hinder your movement immensely. You can't just go to the next nearest hospital and stack yourself up on all the goodies you can find there, because on the island there is no hospital or even medical tents. There may be a pharmacy or a doctor's office you can find, or a crashed medical car on the side of the road, but that is not a safe bet. I think it's safe to assume that crafting medical supplies out of plants will be a big part of keeping yourself alive and gaining experience and leveling up over time. In Survive the Nights we have a rather unusual leveling system in place. It's not like in MMOs where you can choose a skill tree or spend points on a specific attribute. It's more like learning by doing and getting better and faster every time you do something. If you keep hunting, you will get better at it and learn how to harvest more meat out of corpses. If you use a lot of time building traps, you will get better at carpentry. If you run, you will get more stamina. If you drive, you will get better at driving, and so on. I personally like that much more than reaching a certain level cap and basically be done with the game. For barricading a house or repairing your car, you will not only need the items for that, but also the right tools to go along with them. This game has many different types of tools that are needed for specific tasks like repairing a machine or a car or a water supply at your house. So if you want to board up a window, make sure you have a hammer in your inventory. Some items will also need a workbench, and if you want to get electricity going in your house, you need fuel, the items for the fuse box. Again, it will be complicated, but it will be so rewarding if you can turn on the light, look in your little grow room and see all your plants are growing fine. And speaking of tools, you can of course use all the tools to make damage on zombies too, but they won't be near as effective as a knife or a gun. Tell me if I'm wrong, please, but I even believe that the items on this trailer are physics-based items that have weight and actually stand there and lie there and would fall over if the car would accelerate too quickly. Tell me your opinions, please, in the comments down below. I'm not certain about that one thing. Another thing about the tools is that you have machines like a compressor to fill pneumatic tanks, which are used to operate cattle and nail guns, or use an electric generator to charge up batteries for walkie-talkies or hand drills. And who knows, if we're lucky, we may even be able to throw things like saw blades. In-game communication will be available via chat or direct talk, and when you want to communicate over a distance, then you will need to have a working walkie-talkie with a battery, or else you will have to have TeamSpeak. I think having a radio in this game will be a great asset to the whole experience, and who can anticipate what kind of shenanigans you could also do with them, with other players on the server. In this game, the focus from the beginning was that it should be a team-oriented game, and the community plays a vital part in the development. So Survive the Nights from the get-go was planned to be a community feedback-based project that in the end all the players would give feedback and basically recommend what they would like to see. And by now the Survive the Nights forum have a great choice on proposals for many different kinds of in-game related topics. The last time I was looking through it, there were over 750 entries mixed up in all kinds of categories, from items to clothing to vehicles to traps to crafting recipes, tools, weapons. It's just amazing how many ideas people are bringing to the table. I'm sure that the developers constantly take a look in the forum and see what ideas people are having, and I'm sure they try to implement a few things as well. So look out in-game, maybe your trap will be featured in the game. The only thing I'm worried about is that some traps or some items may feel a little bit out of place, but that would be easily addressed in a quick patch. I hope that it also got realistic mechanics with food cans, for instance. If you rub a food can on a rock, you would, unlike in DayZ, not lose 98% of the content. In reality, you would lose some fluid and the rest would be fine for consumption without risk of having dirt in it or getting an infection. Some people in the forums have become very critical over the months because they backed the game last August, and now with the engine switch it will take even longer until we can finally play the game. The new engine is great, not as advanced as the CryEngine 3 for instance, or the Unreal Engine, but it is a step in the right direction. The only thing I'm not sure about is the actual sense behind having a stress test that short after an engine switch. What starts as a stress test could well have the potential to stay open until the final release, while being updated of course, but with the new engine announced I don't think that there will be much to test at all. I can imagine that loading in 50 people on a map will be that hard to manage, but that is not what that is all about. The point is to test features like crafting, loot spawn, persistent items, zombie spawns, barricading, player interaction, every feature the game has to offer, and that is what the developers want to keep an eye on, and I think the players and the developers wouldn't profit from an experience where we would just run through an empty world with nothing to test. So in this situation, I think waiting another 2 months could be the best we could do at the current time. Am I still excited if they keep the time frame and put out an alpha this month anyway? I mean, of course I am. I think you can only start to form a real opinion if you played it yourself or watched the other unbiased YouTuber play it. Another big worry of some of the backers was that if the development takes too long, that this game might end up in the free-to-play section, which often means that some sort of in-game shop premium currency might be integrated and more often than not make the game pay to win, and with that an unpleasant experience for everyone that joins as a free-to-player. E001 Interactive made pretty clear that this game will never be free to play or pay to win, so from what it seems at the current time, we don't have to be concerned about that. The last interesting thing I want to share with you is that Survive the Nights, even though they are a small team, has its own sound designer working on the game. In fact, they had a sound designer even before they got on Kickstarter. They were contacted by a guy who sent them 2 sample tracks basically, and they liked it right away and they started working together. So the first 2 themes were used in the proof of concept videos on Kickstarter. The plan is that the music is integrated in a way that immerses you even deeper in the survival experience you're having, so you can expect the music to be emotional driven and fitting to the surroundings you're in. If you roam around through the woods all by yourself, the music will be much different to when you defend your keep at night and fight off zombie hordes. So depending on where you are and what you're doing, you can expect the music to vary a lot. The first 2 tracks are available for everybody on SoundCloud if you want to download them for yourself, and in case you missed it, the themes also played in the background of this video the whole time. So for the next minute or so, I want to show you all the new concept art screenshots with the official soundtrack of Survive the Nights. I hope you liked what you saw. For the end, I saved one special item, a pistol called FOPC 1080p, and you might have guessed it by now, it stands for a very famous YouTuber called Frankie on PC in 1080p, and he brought a lot of attention to this game back when it was on Kickstarter, and for that the devs put in this handgun, just as a little thank you note. I hope you enjoyed the music in the background as well. The only thing that is left to tell you is an interview the developers gave. It's from last September. It's a little bit out of date, but at the same time it's the only interview the developers ever gave. So I'll just go quickly through it and tell you all the things we might have missed so far. But before we cover that, I just want to point out real quick that I will keep you up to date on all the latest information revolving around Survive the Nights right here on my channel. I will make shorter update videos from this point forward to give you all the latest news from the world of Survive the Nights, plus some insight into what it all means. So make sure, if you want to stay up to date with all the latest news, to hit that subscribe button down below. But now, back to the interview. The first question is about how effective light is against zombies. Does light hold zombies off? And the answer is that the zombies don't like the light. So they will be slower when you have a floodlight in your garden, or when you have zombies intruding in your house and the light is burning, they will not be as fast as in the dark. Next question is about the day-night cycle, and the devs just say here that they imagined the nights would be longer than the day, but that could all well change in the future when they get feedback from all the alpha backers. Next question is about the weather, and about how it will affect the players in Survive the Nights. Are there seasons or something? And from the beginning it was planned that the weather is random, but seasons are in place, so there will be hot summers and cold winters, and we have to adapt to survive. Next question is about resources and how finite they are, and the developers say that there will also be generators that work with wood, for instance, or you could modify a car that it drives with alcohol. That's something I think it's very interesting. We'll see how it plays out over time. Next question is about the spawn system, and in the beginning, when there is just one island, everybody will be on that island. Next question is about how long you can survive in this game from beginning to end, and there is no time restriction at all. If you manage to board up a building and defend yourself, you could survive for a very long time. You have the flora, fauna, fish and wild you can get resources from. You have more than enough wood, and all the other items in the world you can find. There are a few different ways that you can get things running, so don't worry, you can survive for a very long time in this game. Next question is about injuries, illness and infections, and this game has a deep health system. We should have more information when the game comes out, but infection, sickness are bland as well as broken limbs, so we really have to look out for ourselves. Next question is about loot, and they just confirm here that every item has its use in Survive the Nights and nothing will be for cosmetic purposes only. Next question is about animals, and if you can have companions maybe, and the developers say they only will implement such a thing when it really works. So if it's more than a burden than a blessing, we will not have pets. Next question is about PvP and the mental status, and how long it does take until your character gets mad, and that depends on a lot of factors like the time between the kills, the weapons you used, in which environment you were. Next question is about the main storyline in-game, and all the developers said here that the story is planned, but nothing current at the time. But I personally would like it very much if you could find some journals or some notes on walls maybe, or some posters that explain a little bit what is going on this island. Next question is about the size of the team, if it's better to work in a small team or if they would wish to have more guys, and the developers basically say that it depends. If they want to have something in the game like an oil filter suppressor, for instance, they could do it pretty quick if everyone is on board. But on the other hand, if there is a lot of work to do, a small team is slower than a big team. Next question is about skills and how many different skills we can learn in this game. And I've mentioned before that if you run, you get better at running and more stamina. If you drive, you get better at driving. If you hunt, you get better at hunting. And if you craft, then you get better at carpentry. And systems that are not implemented yet, but that are wanted on the forums, could also get implemented in the game really quickly. Next question is about if there are NPCs in the game world. At the current time they are not in, but if it's wished from the community, they could also be like a NPC city maybe in the future. Next question is about zombie behavior. There are zombies that can sprint or climb up walls or fire acid balls or something. And in this game the zombies are dumb, but they come in large hordes, and that is what makes them dangerous. Next question is PvP related, and it's about if you could get a whole zombie horde to follow you to an enemy space and if they would attack you, and I guess it would be possible theoretically, but we will find out pretty soon when we can play the game ourselves. Next question is also PvP related, and it's about if one player could eat another player, cannibalism, and the developers don't want that in this game because you have more than enough ways to find yourself food, from deers to fish to plants and also tin cans. So there is more than enough food you can find in the world and no need to get hostile and start eating other players. So with that being said, we have gone through all the information about Survive the Nights. I personally must say I'm really excited and can't wait until I can finally get my hands on it myself. I think that the experience will be a lot different from any other game we have so far. I will certainly keep my eye on it. I say thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button just as a way of letting me know you enjoyed the content. Until next time, my name is Quardox. HEV out.